So it seems after 10 plus years of the same zombie storyline, meeting our same zombies characters Richtofen, Takeo, Nikolai and Dempsey every other year in a Black Ops game or World at War. In Black Ops Cold War, it looks like the Ether storyline is over and we are starting anew. On the Battle.net website talking about COD 2020, under the zombies section it says, uncover dark Cold War experiments that unleash a new zombie threat to take on in a frightening and intense cooperative gameplay with friends. It specifically says the words, a new zombie threat, which tells us that zombies in COD 2020 is going to be a totally new experience, a new storyline, a new set of characters we haven't seen before. It doesn't seem like it is going to be linked to Ether. They are starting afresh. And so I would assume this means then the Ether storyline is finally over. We knew this with the end of Black Ops 4. At the end of Toten, our main characters of Dempsey, Nikolai, Takeo and Richtofen were killed. The multiverse was destroyed. Everything else was sent back to the Dark Ether. And so there was really nowhere else to go with Ether. We had been told by Treyarch that this was the end, and it had been leading up to this moment for quite a long time. I would say ever since the start of BO4, Blood of the Dead and Classified, when we first broke the cycle. That was when we knew the zombie storyline would end in that game. Ever since the beginning, World at War, all the way through Black Ops 1, BO2, BO3, the whole storyline revolved around our characters being stuck in this same cycle, doomed to repeat the same events over and over again. In BO4, they finally broke that cycle, and the only way to be free was for Primus and Ultimus to die. And so with them dead, with them being our main set of characters in Ether, I think deep down we knew that story was over. And just a few months before the end, on the Activision Games blog, I think this was around the time Alpha Omega released, Treyarch did an interview where they were asked the question, is this truly the end of this story? If so, how hard was it to put a bow on this epic legend and say goodbye to our favourite characters? And the Zombies team replied, honestly, we're still processing it. We're in the middle of writing some major stuff for our beloved characters, and it's emotional. With the multiverse established, there will always be other stories to imagine, but in terms of Primus, Ultimus and Victus, this is the end of the line. Bless them. So that was the end of their story. That was truly the last time we're going to see any of those sets of characters. But what's interesting is they do say in this article that with the multiverse established, there will always be other stories to imagine. There are many other characters that exist in the Ether universe that we've never heard of, or we don't know their stories. Treyarch never specifically said we won't see anything to do with Ether again. They just say these characters that we know and love, Richtofen's crew, along with Victus, who is Misty, Stuhlinger, Martin and Russman, we won't be seeing them again. Their story is over, but there are other characters that exist in Ether. So I believe they always left that door open. If they wanted to go back to Ether and explore other stories, they could. But the way they describe zombies in Black Ops Cold War makes it sound like they're just leaving Ether where it is for now. They're not going to be exploring that multiverse, and what we're going to be seeing is something totally new. But that door, maybe for their next game or somewhere down the line in the future, that multiverse is still there. And that also makes me wonder, well, what about Zombies Chronicles 2? Because we know the maps Transit, Dire Eyes and Buried were remastered by Treyarch a long time ago. They were supposed to release in BO4. A lot of people were saying, well, maybe they'll release those maps in this year's COD. But right now, to me, unless they want to do what they did in Black Ops 4, where they mixed two storylines together, I'm not too sure anymore if those maps are ever gonna release. They are finished, so if they don't, they're just sitting there, collecting dust. And that brings me on to my next point, Chaos. A brand new story that Treyarch began in BO4. It was left on a cliffhanger at the end of that game. It was clearly supposed to be continued. In fact, if I remember correctly, I'm sure there was supposed to be a second season pass for Black Ops 4. Obviously that never came to be, but the Chaos storyline was never finished. Unlike Ether where everything was wrapped up, there was supposed to be a second part to Chaos. But again, going back to what we know of Black Ops Cold War, it seems like that story won't be returning. So is it just going to be left off where it is? Are we never going to know what happened after? Where was Medusa going? Did Scarlet ever end up waking up? What happens to Diego, Bruno and Shaw? The cult? Because of the reception that storyline got, it never really had the interest. Even in my personal opinion, I wasn't too keen on it. I know some people did enjoy it, even preferred it to Ether, but from the sounds of it, that story is finished as well. We are never going to, at least in this year's Call of Duty, find out what happened after. There might be other factors that came into play with this. We do know major developers from Treyarch, one of them being Jason Blundell, who was the head of Zombies. He ended up leaving the studio. Him, along with Craig Houston, were the main brains behind that story. So with Jason gone, the main guy who came up with Chaos and also had a big part to play with Ether, perhaps it is a good time to just end them in Black Ops 4. Maybe it wouldn't be right to continue a storyline when one of the main people behind it is left, and it's a good time to start afresh. And that finally leads me on to my last subject of this video, this year's Zombies. What do we know about it? Well, I've just read you the official description. We know that we are taking on a new zombie threat during the Cold War, so we can expect it to take place during the time of the campaign, which is in the 1980s. From the sounds of it as well, it is going to be a much more scarier experience. It's like they're taking it back to the roots, back to World at War, when we had those maps, Nakta and Toten, Shinonuma, Verrucht. We can all agree in the earlier days, Zombies was much more scarier, although I do put it down to the grittier, older graphics as well. But it seems like they're trying to go with a scarier atmosphere. Think of World War II zombies, at least in terms of grittiness and gore. We've also been told in leaks, out of the campaign, Warzone, multiplayer and Zombies has the biggest evolution out of any of the modes. It is the most different compared to what we're used to. Zombies this year, don't expect it to be the Zombies you are used to playing. The maps are going to be a lot bigger. It is going to be a new way of playing, although we can expect old features that we know and love, such as the perk systems or the Pack-a-Punch. Zombies will be very different, but there will also be some home comforts. On the Battle.net website where we got the description of Zombies, on that section we also get this image. Now to me this looks like it's out of the campaign, which is weird. Why would they put this image on the Zombies section? Maybe it's just a placeholder for now, or maybe there is a chance it is to do with Zombies. I doubt it though. I think the character there is Woods. We usually don't get to see anything about Zombies up until a month or two before the game releases. The game comes out in November, so I would say in October is when we can expect to see more on the game. And since we know it's a new story, trying to come up with some ideas and theories on what it could be about, what it could involve. Well, since it's taking place during the Cold War, it's obviously not going to have something to do with the Nazis as it did when it first started back in World at War. Back then it began because Group 935 teamed up with the Nazis to do experiments using Element 115. But it seems like with this story they're going with a much more realistic approach. The Cold War was mainly America and the Soviet Union, the Russians. So if I had to guess, either the Russians or the Americans create the undead. How they do that, we don't know yet. Is there going to be something like Element 115? Also, who are the characters we are going to be playing as? I am very interested to learn more on the story and see how they develop it. Could it become another Ether? Could it last 10 years? Will they be able to build on it and make it something that's just as big? We'll have to wait and see, but then just going over what other information we have about Zombies so far. Again, in this bit of text you can see it says, between the conspiracy-laden campaign led by Raven Software, our signature fast-paced multiplayer, the next evolution of Zombies, and more. So again, we are being told we are getting a brand new story. We also know, unlike Black Ops 4, the maps are going to be free. From this tweet put out by Charlie Intel, it says, the Black Ops Cold War press release states that Treyarch will deliver a steady stream of post-launch content, including multiplayer maps and modes and Zombies experiences. So whatever content we get for Zombies is going to be free, whether that's maps, maybe new weapons, emotes, character costumes, it will all be free. And then also we've been told that it's going to be crossplay, so you can play Zombies with your friends on Xbox, PlayStation and PC together. It is something I am really excited for, but for now, that is everything we know on Black Ops Cold War Zombies. And also, it's quite sad because I think that is truly the end of Ether. It is definitely the end of the characters we know and love, Richtofen's crew, and then Misty's crew. They are done. Ether is still open, they could return to it, but in this game at least, we are getting something totally new. And if it goes well, I would expect them to continue this story for hopefully as long as Ether went on. So there we go. As always, hopefully you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, you know what to do. Drop a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed to stay up to date with the latest content on the channel. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I love reading what you guys think, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.
Nikolai has been walking a path to enlightenment for a long time. I believe he may be approaching his destination. Acceptance is not weakness, Nikolai.
You are more than just my allies. my brothers in arms. You were my friends.